Hello and welcome to Variable Overview. And today we're going to look at the right intersection. The right intersection. Now, if you look at the variable grid, what you'll notice is that right in the center of the variable grid are four variables. Two that are on the left side, two that are on the right side. These four variables are known as the intersection. It is a place of confluence. It is a place where leftness and rightness, well, almost in a sense, bang into each other. It can lead to real difficulties in the way in which left and right brains communicate with each other. It is one of those things that is very important to see. If you're looking at this intersection on the right side, the upper part is right-minded with a left brain, and the lower part is right-minded with a right brain. In essence, they are quite different from each other. But what makes the configuration so difficult is its combination with the storyline below. The storyline is rooted in the nodes, both design and personality. And it is this combination of the way in which the brain-mind operates in relationship to the way in which one's direction in life is established that there can be an inherent confusion and conflict. Always, when dealing with the right mind, it is so important to understand that it's not about your mind doing your job for you. It isn't. It isn't your mind that is going to determine what is going to work for you in this life. More than any other kind of being, those of you that have a right mind cannot trust in any way your mind to deliver to you what you need or what you think you need simply by going and looking for it. You will not find it. This is not what you're about. What you're about is to find the right activity. It is something that is so important for anyone who is on the right. It is the activity that is so important for you in your life. And that activity is not something you decide. That activity is something that you react to, you respond to, you wait for that invitation, you wait for the correct thing to come to you in order for you to find that activity that is going to bring you what is necessary. You see, those that are right-minded, they are not here to develop the strategies necessary to maintain their survival. This is not what they are about. As a matter of fact, they are about the depth and potential of awareness and creativity. And that awareness and creativity is quite disconnected from the mundane plane and the way in which the world operates. Human design offers an incredible gift, particularly to those who are right. It offers a tool for finding a way to operate correctly on this plane, to maintain your well-being, to look after yourself materially, and at the same time, to free your right mind and to free it to do what it does best, which is to take in the flow of information of any given day and to simply be a resource, a deep, creative resource. A resource that is always waiting for the right connection, for the right interaction, and an interaction and a connection that can only be the result of operating according to your strategy and authority. Who to allow into your life, who to allow to tap into your resource, who to allow to take advantage of your creativity. If you're operating according to your strategy and authority, it is always a win-win situation. It is always good for you. It is always good for the other. And in the end, it brings you the fulfillment of your purpose.
Hey, my fellow travelers on this spaceship Earth, spiraling through space and time. We're coming to the end of duality. in our journey around the wheel. So we have one more Godhead in duality, and this is the Godhead Minerva.
Yes.
Minnie the Mouse, or as Leela likes to call her, Minnie the Mooch.
Well, Minerva's more than that, but it's interesting to see how there is this continuity even in our modern times, how these spaces come back around again. Minerva comes from that Greco-Roman tradition, and she really was, also known, one of her incarnations as Athena, but she's more than a wisdom goddess here. This is really that tribal, how do we hold on to the continuity of the tribe? How do we, and it's so, this is the arts and the crafts and the cultural traditions of the tribes themselves, the language, the costuming, all of those things that separate this tribe from that tribe.
Because folks, remember, all of this, we're talking about survival. This is not just some random program. No, this program is specifically geared for us to survive as a species. So, we have to have our various themes. And since it's a mental theme, who better than Minerva?
Yeah. And Zeus, her father, this story is that, cracked his head open. He had a headache and cracked his head open, and out springs Minerva. But, is more, again, than the wisdom piece. It's memory. And we see this continuity in its chemistry as well, this tribal ability to not just remember the past, but to uphold the usness of the tribe, and to prepare the young for their way into the future of the tribe, to, in essence, prepare to sacrifice them if necessary to maintain the tribe. This begins that we are willing to fight to keep what is ours, to keep who we are. There's a warrior aspect to Minerva here. Not the warrior cult, but this will fight to hold on to our continuity.
Yeah, we'll fight to maintain a thriving condition under which our children can survive and continue.
The difficulty, of course, the mind distorts this. And what becomes, a real hallmark of seven-centered life was this us and them, the conflict between us and them. And we see this now in our modern world. You get these fundamentalists that want to isolate and preserve their traditions, and will do so at any cost. They will turn their children into soldiers, into weapons in order to do so. But we don't have to live that out. There is a beautiful quality to each of these spaces when we get beyond how it's been distorted.
And the reason that we explore it is to give you some space from it so that you can see it. We put a face on it so that you can see it. And, that's the beauty that human design is bringing. It's an opportunity to actually look at how life is structured, how it's set up, how it's put together.
Not just blindly
following,
reacting to it or trying to maintain it.
Hello, I'm Martin Grassinger. Today, we will listen to the Solar Plex Center. Well, the solar plex center. This is the challenge of humanity. If you take a look at the design of forms, we are the only life form with this center. And if you take a look at the wheel and the quarters of incarnation crosses, it starts with the gates of the emotional center. So this is where everything starts, and it starts how we relate to the world, how we relate to our inner world as well as to our outer world. Therefore, from my perspective, this center is the relationship center or the relating center. Because every emotion you can experience inside of yourself is because it relates to something. This is either going on inside of yourself or from the outer world, depending on the circumstances. But it's always relating to something. If you stay in front of a tree, in front of another person, in front of a house, or you close your eyes and there's something going on inside of you, it's always relating to something. And in terms of the health business, this is how we relate to the outer world in terms of what we take in to our bodies from the outer world. It's the central station for digestion. Here we have the intestines. We have everything that's going on inside of the belly. Basically, it's organized and dependent on the nerve system, the central nerve system, basically. This is the management of digestion. And digestion doesn't only mean how we deal with the sustenance we take into our mouth. It's also how we deal, by example, with the oxygen, how we take it in, how it comes into our lungs, how it comes from the lungs into our body, how it comes from the body, from the lungs into the blood cells, from the blood cells into the organs, the tissues, every place within the body. It has to be processed, it has to be digested in a specific way. So the three streams, they represent how we deal with gas, how we deal with solid, how we deal with fluid. Everything has to be processed within the body. And this is our way to take in sustenance and to digest on it. And therefore, we need the movement. Motion is always something that has to deal with motion, with movement. And you can imagine what's going on in terms of digestion if there's no movement inside of your intestines. It can be fast, it can be slow, it can be hard, everything is possible. And of course, it's dependent on the emotions and it's influencing the emotions. So within the solar plex system, you have the capacity within the intestines, within the belly, to organize what's going on in terms of the stomach, what's going on in terms of the pancreas, what's going on in terms of the kidneys, what's going on in terms of the lungs, and, of course, what's going on in terms of the skin. If you just take a look at what the skin is all about, it's the border of the body and just tells us here is the border. We have it in our intestines. So therefore, everything you put into your mouth and swallow it down, and it's in the intestines, it's not in the body. It has to pass through the skin. If it has passed the skin, it enters into the blood and then it's within the body. As long as it's in the intestines, it's part of the outer world. The same is with the oxygen within the lungs. If you take in the oxygen in your lungs, if you breathe in, the oxygen is in the lungs but not in the body. It's still outer world. If it just passes through the skin and moves into the blood, into the red blood cells, and then being transported into the body, then it's in the body. As long as the oxygen is in the air, is in the lungs, it's not in the body. And the same with the outer skin. It has the capacity to bring something out, like the lungs, They have the capacity to bring everything from the gas out, which is poisonable, to our bodies. And the skin, just by the sweat, has the capacity to bring things out that could be poisonly to our bodies. The ancient doctors, they told the skin to be the third kidney. And the kidneys are organized basically by the solar plexus system. And if this is not enough to organize, just to eliminate what has to be eliminated because it's the poison for the body, then the skin, the third kidney, has the chance to eliminate it. And if the solar plexus system, if the intestine system, the kidneys, the elimination through the large intestines, through the anus, for example, through the lungs to bring all the poison and gas out, so there's still the outer skin to eliminate it, or the lungs as well. If the kidneys stop doing their job, the air this person is breathing out smells like urine, or the sweat from the skin is just like urine. On the deeper level of its chemistry, the solar plexus system as well has to manage and to process the alkaline business as well as the acid business. Within the intestines, just take a look at the stomach, we have to deal with the acid part. If it leaves the stomach and enters the small intestines, we have to deal with the alkaline business and so on. So there are very places and rooms and spaces which are responsible for managing these aspects of digestion. And of course, it has the chance to affect the emotions. For example, if you have an ulcer in your stomach, it won't be comfortable for your emotional mood. Or for some people, if they don't find the right fulfillment in their life, so they start to fill themselves up with nutrition, with sustenance, in order to find the fulfillment by filling themselves up. And you can be in the mood to eat something or not to be in the mood. So all of these various aspects, they are managed by the solar plexus system. The ancient Chinese doctors, they mentioned the solar plexus system according to the various meridians which are affecting these areas, just to have the task to balance out the expression of hope, to balance between despair and unrealistic optimism, which could be just enthusiastic. In terms of the breathing, it's just the hyperventilation. Or the other way around, not to ventilate or just to keep it very low in terms of depression. And it could be in a long-term aspect as a sadness, as suffering from these things, or a short-term if it's just a grief in the moment. But it has to be processed. And it is something that easily affects the chemistry and vice versa. Therefore, the center is very, very complex. Next year in spring, I will start with an education in terms of nutrition and digestion, and to give you a chance to take a very, very deep look into this complexity of chemistry and this fascinating way of working things out. It gives you a deep understanding how skin and lungs and intestines and prostate and stomach and pancreas and kidneys and so on is organized, and how the central nervous system and the hormones within the body are managing this business.